Hello and welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. I'm Jurjevich. Joining me this evening is the one, the only TC Todd Corder in Woodstock. Of course, our fabulous producer, Wayne in Memphis. You can find us all at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, Apple, and of course, Spotify. Personal Twitters or X's at JJ Get You One for myself, at RWY Jr. for Wayne, and at Corder Todd for Todd Corder. That LG for real though for Larry Gardner, who is in a overtime battle as a ball coach of one of his children. I hope they get that victory. We'll get his pick six later on. Wayne, how you doing this evening, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. But, this upcoming weekend, we've got a Tiger versus Tiger basketball game here in Memphis. It's going to be Clemson versus Memphis down there at the FedEx Forum at 3 p.m. on Saturday. That's 3 p.m. Central, so 4 p.m. your time.
Okay. Be looking forward. I'm sure the Tigers will get it done.
Yeah.
Todd, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing fantastic. I tell you what, this has been the year in the NFL. We had a podcast earlier today. You can go check that out on Twitter Spaces. Tearing it up for Joe Burrow. Another fantastic story. Danny DeVito, Cutlass Dimes, who performed really well on Monday Night Football against Green Bay. And I tell you what, the free agent out of Illinois, a New York City, New Jersey native right outside the five boroughs, is lighting it up and giving the New York Giants to think about next season when Daniel Jones recovers from his knee injury, and he will be in training camp with his 4-year, $160 million contract, a 2-year out in July. Will we have a training camp quarterback battle between Daniel Jones and DeVito? We're going to find out. The next 4 games of the regular season will tell the tale. And if he performs well in 2 of them against Philadelphia, look out. But it was a great story on Monday Night Football as the Giants prevailed over the Packers, and Danny Cutlass DeVito and his family and his agent.
It's Tommy DeVito.
Daniel Jones on my mind with his injury, yes, but Tommy DeVito, what a job he's done.
Yeah, what a job he's done is right. I'm doing great. Not as well as Bronny James, the son of LeBron James, made his Southern California collegiate basketball debut after experiencing a cardiac arrest episode 5 months ago during a workout. It's just glad to see him back out there, to be honest, win or lose. They did lose to Long Beach State in the game, but I'm sure LeBron James and his wife are ecstatic to see his son come back to the game he has loved his whole entire life. So that's a pretty cool story there. What's on tap? College football bowls. Have they lost more luster than they already have? We'll talk about the $700 million over 10 years and that Shohei Ohtani contract, and we'll do the pick six. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Bowl season is upon us. Georgia Southern and Ohio kick off college football bowl season, the Myrtle Beach Bowl this Saturday afternoon. But have the bowls lost their luster due to the upcoming 12-team playoff? Todd, I'm interested to hear your opinion on this. We've talked about this off air. Let's talk about it on it. Go ahead, my friend.
Well, obviously it has. I mean, college football has a great regular season. So I'm going to go at this from another direction, and it will tie into the bowls, because during the regular season, every week you have games that have major implications on the playoff. But it has a backwards postseason where you have 5 weeks in between the conference championship games and the postseason and the playoffs, for the Final Four. It makes zero sense. First of all, we had a selection process of media and coaches poll determining a mythical national champion. Then we had the BCS computers determine a matchup between 1 versus 2. Then 3, we get a committee who has all of them, 13 of them have biases. Their opinions are subjective and they're all opinions, so it really doesn't matter. You have a 14 invite of 133 potential teams. All this leads to is all the playoff or all the bowl games are just meaningless, except for the 14 playoff. Please let it be decided on the field. Next year we'll have 12. We'll see how it works out with the the metrics of it, and the championship game, which is on a Monday night, which is really stupid. It takes a back seat to the NFL. The championship should be on a Saturday. Common sense, the playoff games should start immediately on Saturday, the week after the conference championship games, and play each week until we have a champion. Wait a minute, wait for it. It'll be decided on the what? Oh, yeah, the field, which leads me to the lackluster bowl games. Now, we need to incorporate these bowl games into playoff games. I think we should have a 24-team playoff, 10 conference champions or 9, depending on what the hell they do with the Pac-12, and then the 14th or 15th highest ranked teams after that. D3 has 32 teams, 28 qualify. Division II has a 28-team playoff, and FCS D1 has 24. You're damn right it's losing its luster. It's lost its luster between the opt-out. We've got quarterbacks that have played with the team all year, but all like Ohio State, but they're not going to play in its bowl game. We have a quarterback for Texas. Malik is not going to play for Texas in the playoffs. He's opting out. What happens if something happens to the starting quarterback at Texas? Well, I guess you're bringing another guy. This doesn't make any sense at all. And it's really giving the game a black eye.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think what the college football bowl subdivision should do is figure out a way, like you said, to incorporate the bowls into the new 12-team playoff from the top, even if that means relocating these games, like the Gasparilla Bowl, which is in Tampa Bay. Take that game and make it the first round of the playoffs, whether it's in Athens or wherever it is, and just have it moving around and incorporate that and things like that. I think you should reduce the amount of bowl games, make bowl games more interesting with 7, maybe make the number 7 instead of 6. I know you'll have a lot fewer teams, but then once you fill those teams with 7 game winners, and you only need 4 or 5, 6-game winners if you've dropped the bowls. So I think you're right on, Todd. I think even more so next year, if they don't incorporate these bowls into the playoffs in the near future, I think they're just going to lose more luster. And it kind of goes from school to school, but you go to a game like the Central Florida and Georgia Tech game, those are 2 schools that are fairly hungry for their bowl game, and the fact that Central Florida's playing in their first Power 5 bowl game as a Power 5 team, and Georgia Tech hasn't played in a bowl game in 5 years. So those are the outlying games you got to find that people don't care. But we're picking a game in the Pick 6 where the Ohio Bobcats are transferring 4, 5, or 6 starters somewhere around there on the offensive line. So you're exactly right, Todd. What happens if Quinn Ewers goes down and Malik Murphy needed to come in? It's just crazy to me to leave your team in a playoff run when you could still help them out. And he has helped them. He got them a couple wins during the season. So there needs to be a way to incorporate these bowls a little bit better. And hopefully in the near future, college football can fix that problem of lackluster bowl games. Wayne, your thoughts on lackluster bowl games in general, and your thoughts on about bowl season in general as well. Have a little fun with it.
Well, I've got an idea of how I think that they should do the playoffs. I think the playoffs should start in late August, and there should be a 13 game round robin style thing. You know, you play 4 non-conference games, you play all the rest conference. You can decide who you want to play, when you want to play, and at the end of that, you take the cream of the crop, send them to bowl games. And after all those bowl games are done, the coaches and the writers can decide who's number one and vote on
Like the olden days.
it.
You know,
Hey.
here, JJ, is a situation where the bowls need to be eliminated except for the 24 teams in the playoffs. And that's it. I mean, the rest of these bowls, you mentioned the Georgia Tech, Central Florida game, that bowl wouldn't be part of the 24 bowls. It just would be. You know, all your major bowls are going to be part of it. Your 6 DCS bowls, and I mean, it's not going to get that far. A lot of these bowl games aren't going to survive, and you're going to and the playoff is going to eliminate the rest of them anyhow. That's why I stated 24 teams should be in there. And if you even had to move to 32, I know that'd be too many games, but something has to be done. At least go to 16, because nobody else is watching these games. Like I said, Ohio State doesn't have its starting quarterback, and they had him all year. He's not going to play against Missouri. Georgia and Florida State, 2 teams that want to be in the playoff. They're definitely, each team's going to be majorly shorthanded, and it's not going to be the team because of the NFL draft, and it's not going to be any remotely close to the team that they were during the regular season. And then somebody's going to go, well, see, I told you Florida State wasn't that good, or I told you Georgia should have been involved. That has nothing to do with the regular season, these bowl games now. These are completely different teams in a lot of instances. And college football is the only playoff, invite that's just got it backwards, and they've had it from the beginning. That is D1 college football.
100% agree. I think we can all agree that something needs to be done to save these smaller bowls, like the Sun Bowl. And bowls that have been around for a while, I think should still be incorporated to maybe teams that are on the 13, 14, 15, 16, where you get a pretty prestigious bowl game. Maybe the Sun Bowl, the Holiday Bowl, the Citrus Bowl. Those are bowl games that have been incorporated for a long time that people watch. Maybe the Outback Bowl even. So get 4 or 5 bowl games in there, plus the others, and I think that could solve your lackluster bowl problem. Let's move on to Major League Baseball, where an unprecedented contract was just signed last week. Shohei Ohtani got a 10-year, $700 million contract from the Los Angeles Dodgers. Will this contract be worth it, and will Los Angeles win a title with them there? And we'll just kind of have a round-robin discussion about this in general. But I'll tee this thing off. Look, I think it'll be worth it if they win multiple World Series titles, maybe even just one, because they did get one in 2020, so their fan base is fairly happy right now. But they always want more in LA. So I think it will be worth it if he wins a title there. This is just unprecedented, the amount of deferred money. It's 97%, Todd, which is absolutely absurd. But teams have been doing this since free agency began. Ted Turner was actually one of the first ones to do it. If I'm not mistaken, he was the first, with Bruce Sutter, deferred a $9 million contract until 2021. So the Braves had just stopped paying Bruce Sutter just a couple of years ago.
That would be Bruce Sutter. Hey, JJ, that's Bruce Sutter.
That's what I said, Bruce Sutter.
No, you said Sutter. That's all right.
Excuse me. I said Sutter. Excuse me, Bruce Sutter. I said Sutter. Excuse me.
It's just like I did with a DeVito. I had Danny Dimes and Tommy DeVito all dug up.
Yeah, no, exactly. It happens. You crisscross names. I mispronounced it. But, yeah, it's been going on since the 80s. But this is unprecedented, where 97% of the contract is deferred to 2034 and beyond. So this is Bobby Bonilla Day on steroids for Shohei Ohtani. And look, here's the thing. That deferral allows the team to build around Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Jason Hayward, who they just re-signed, and Will Smith, and all the other great talent they have in LA. But is this good for baseball? I asked that question a couple years ago. I've said baseball needs to go to a pretty hard salary cap, and really, this is a contract that scratches everybody's head and says, you know what? All this owner has to do is sell the team, and then he doesn't even have to pay the Ohtani contract down the road. So this is unprecedented. I'm kind of on the fence on a contract like this. I'm all about capitalism and getting the most money, but to defer it like this is kind of like a loophole, so you don't have to pay the extra collective bargaining tax and the competitive balance. All of that, I think they get lucky at least in the next 4 to 5 years.
All right. Well, as far as those contracts and everything goes, I'm pretty sure he's going to have to come up and really hit some balls. But what I think is great is that his age, being the designated hitter for a team like Los Angeles, is a great move on his part. And whether the money comes now or later is, I don't think it matters to him at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to matter to Shohei, Wayne. You're 100% right about that. The guy's one of the best players in baseball. He's definitely a diamond in the rough in the fact that he can hit and he can pitch in the same day, and you don't have to take him out of the lineup ever. He's going to be an elite DH. He has had his second Tommy John surgery. So will he be able to pitch the same when he comes back at this value of his contract? How old will he get in terms of age? Because the Dodgers are getting old. They got Hayward. They got Freeman. Muncy's starting to get old. These guys have been there for a while, part of that core. Will they bring Clayton Kershaw back? All these questions are going to be answered in the near future, but this is just unprecedented, and it's honestly mind-blowing how they deferred 97% of this contract. Todd, you back with us yet?
Well, here's the situation. Like $680 million are going to be deferred from 2034 to 43, which is going to allow the Dodgers to try to go get pitching either through the trade route or the free agent route. And the problem is there isn't a lot of starting pitching out there, and they need it. Yamamoto, as you guys know, he played for the Oryx Buffaloes, the Pacific League out of Japan. He was the Japan's version of the Cy Young. So, but there's a lot of teams bidding for that. And the Dodgers, this contract puts the Dodgers after 2034 to 43. It's going to be hard, awful difficult for them to compete. Plus, when you look at it, Ohtani will be 30 this season. Usually your prime in your baseball is, up to 35, and then you start declining. So for approximately half the contract, you're going to get a declining Ohtani. So if the Dodgers don't win it the next 5 or 6 years, now you're going to have to pay. You're going to pay for a declining Ohtani on the back end of the contract, and then you're going to pay for an Ohtani that's not even there because you deferred the money. So you better go get the pitching. Since you overpaid for Ohtani, now you're almost forced to overpay for everything else. And in terms of the Dodgers winning it, I'll take the field. I'll even take the field. You can have the Dodgers and the Braves, and I'll still take the field because baseball's playoff now is 12 teams, and once you get in, anything can happen. And the playoff format allows the team that won 83 or 84 games during the regular season, a la Arizona, to slip in to the World Series. It's about who's hot, who's playing well, and who's healthy. And with a 162-game regular season, baseball's regular season used to mean nothing. Something. Now it means a lot less. So other pitching to get for the Dodgers, Blake Snell, you're going to have to overpay for him. And Jordan Montgomery's out there. You'll have to overpay for him. And then who else are you going to get? Aaron Nola's gone. Josh Hader's a reliever. Sonny Gray's gone. There's not a lot out there. Yes, you get J.D. Martinez's contract off the books if you're the Dodgers, but you are filling it with Ohtani on the cheap right now. And speaking of pitching, after 2 Tommy John surgeries, how's Ohtani going to be at plus 30? Is he going to be himself? I doubt it that first year. So now you're down to 4 years left in his pitching prime. And odds are he's going to get hurt again. So you're going to pay all this money for that? Give me the field, and give me the field convincingly. Look at this group of Dodgers. They're the Braves of the 90s. They won 1 championship, and it's hard to win a championship, so I don't want to, talk down upon it, because it's even hard to get to the World Series, and it was even harder to get to the playoffs in the 90s than it is today. So are they going to win it? Odds are no way, and odds are they lose on the Ohtani deal. But I will say this about the Dodgers, gentlemen. They're going to be the Beatles on steroids. Wherever they go, it's going to be a traveling road show and a distraction. And we'll see how the team performs. They may underperform the first part of the season or the first half, because every city they go into, what's going to be there? The media. They're going to be all over them. You thought the Dodgers had media before? You thought the Yankees had media in New York? This will be 10 times fold, and we'll see how they handle it.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see how Shohei Ohtani, where on the other team in Los Angeles, the Angels, kind of kept him a little sheltered from the media. Not necessarily. They kind of they kind of put the red carpet down where he wanted to talk, when he wanted to talk. With LA, he may have to face the media a little bit more and face a little bit more scrutiny after a bad game, for say, or a bad stretch. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. And that always brings the question, and we'll go over this real quickly. Todd, should there be a salary cap in Major League Baseball, yay or nay? Give me a quick answer.
Well, can I go back to the question you talked about Ohtani facing the media? Better yet, his teammates facing it. They're going to get tired of it after a while, and it's going to be wearing and tearing. And if they get off to a poor start, oh, man, I wouldn't want to be wearing a Dodger uniform. Wait a minute. Yes, I would. 700 million reasons would tell me I want to. In terms of the salary cap in baseball, I'm not for it. Look, they have the tax. The teams get the benefits of the luxury tax. These teams receive the benefits from the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Cubs, and et cetera, overspending, and it goes in their pockets. So that allows them to be competitive. All the salary cap does is allow the other teams not to spend any more than they are, and it allows them to be competitive from that standpoint. But I would think the luxury tax would allow you to be even more competitive. You're getting the money from other teams. Therefore, you can help out and build your team in any way. Any baseball team is built old school through the farm system. Nobody does it right now better than the Rays. Look at Baltimore, how young they are, and they picked up some veterans. So I still think the lifeblood in Atlanta, they've gotten a lot of good players through the farm system. You still have to, you can't continually build a team of all-stars. And that's what the Yankees are trying to do right now with Soto and et cetera. The Yankees, now, JJ, the Yankees in the 90s were not a team of all-stars. They really were not. They were a team of grinders. They grinded out every at bat, every pitch, and they just played in hard day in and day out, and they didn't have this great all-star lineup. So my answer is no.
Yeah, my answer, I think there should be somewhat of a salary cap, or at least have a percentage where you can't defer it past 40 or 50%. I think 97% is a loophole. and it makes the rich teams richer and the poor teams poor. I personally think it's that simple. Look, a team like Tampa Bay could not do this. They had no chance at signing Shohei Ohtani. Whereas you go to the NFL and a shiny new toy becomes available, there's several teams that have a realistic possibility of signing that said player, aka Deshaun Watson, when he went to free agency and the Falcons nearly got him and kind of negotiated a trade. And luckily for Falcons fans, they did not get Deshaun Watson because the Cleveland Browns are still paying the price for that. Now, they're doing great this season, no lie. But again, there's my point. I personally think that there should be rules against deferring 97% of a $700 million contract to possibly the next owner or the next group of managers that come in to buy the LA Dodgers. It's absolutely crazy that you're able to find that loophole and do it. So there needs to be some way to close that loophole and make the competitive bargaining competitive balance agreement and the competitive tax agreement one and the same. Let's move on, guys. We'll go quickly to our
JJ, can I say something about that, if I may? The big
Sure.
markets, they still have a huge advantage over the small markets, even in the NFL, or Major League Baseball, or the National Hockey League, in terms of getting the big name players. It's called endorsements. The money, the big dollars. There's an advantage for playing for the Dallas Cowboys or the New York Yankees. You're in that glamorous spotlight. It just is. It's a bigger advantage playing for the bigger, older traditional clubs than it is.
And then there's exceptions to the rule
from that standpoint.
And then there's exceptions to the rule, like Green Bay, who has a publicly traded team and a worldwide fan base that buys cheeseheads everywhere. It matters about Falcons. They don't have a large season ticket fan base. They just don't. They're technically a mid-major team in a major market. But it's just the way of viewership and jersey sales and memorabilia, merchandise, all that matters. And the Dallas Cowboys have everything you would want. So, no, I get your point there. But there are exceptions to the rule. And I personally think that we're on different sides here, and I don't disagree with you totally. I mean, it's baseball, and it's always been like that. But to defer a contract, 97% of it, that's just crazy. That's just absolutely crazy. Just to give you a figure, Todd, starting in 2034, the Dodgers are going to pay him $68 million a year. That's nuts.
It is. We mentioned that earlier, and here's the thing, if I may say. In terms of the Packers, they've always had a great team. They've always had a big fan base. Even though they're small market, they act big market because they have the PR. Whereas the Falcons, they have a history of losing big time, except for a couple of playoff seasons. They don't have that winning tradition establishment here, whereas you do in Green Bay, and you still can get advertised and be in charge of the Packers. So I get where you're coming from.
That's why I was saying merchandise and sales and PR, all that matters.
Huge.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's what I was saying with sales and season ticket fan base and all that matters. So let's move on to our pick six. Getting to the nitty gritty of the end of the season. Here's the standings going into one of our last weeks. This is our last show for the year, listeners, so happy holidays and happy new year to you. Larry is 41 and 43 and in second place. TC and Wayne are both at 40 and 44, and I am in first place at 46 and 38 overall. I went 4-2 last week. Wayne had a tough week at 2-4, and Todd had a 500 week at 3-3, and Larry also went back under 500 with the 2-4 week last week. So let's get into the pick six. It's time. We picked 6 football games. Lines and spread are from Monday per Caesars Sportsbook. This week it's Georgia Southern 6-6 versus Ohio 9-3. Georgia Southern are 3.5-point favorites. Over under in this game is 48.5. It's the Myrtle Beach Bowl from Brooks Stadium in Conway, South Carolina. a.k.a. Coastal Carolina's home stadium. Saturday, 11 a.m. on ESPN. Todd, who you got?
I'll take Georgia Southern, but I tell you what, Ohio's playing for an awful lot. They're playing for a 10-win season. And, Coach Helton needs this win desperately for Georgia Southern. They're going the wrong way. They were, 6-2 at one point? So you've got a team desperate for a win, and Coach Helton is for recruiting and ending the season on a positive note. And you got an Ohio team that can win 10 games. I'll say Georgia Southern wins, but it's just barely over the 3.5.
Wayne, what say you?
Man, I'm going to take Ohio in this one simply because I feel like I may have gone down that state, not Southern road. So the hashtag for this game will be hashtag Ohio, not Southern.
I know Dave's probably listening in saying, please don't pick those guys. No, I'm just kidding. Larry is taking GSU to cover as well. Look, I got to take the Eagles to cover, and here's why. Clay Helton, Todd, you mentioned it, and the Eagles come into this game limping. They're losers of 4 straight, and Ohio comes into this game on the opposite spectrum, winners of 3 straight. But this isn't the same Ohio team that beat Iowa State at home early in the year. Quarterback Curtis Rourke and their 2 leading rushers, Bangera and Allison, are in the portal, and they're expected not to play this game. That means they're taking over 3,500 offensive yards with them and 25 touchdowns, total touchdowns with them. So I got to go with the Eagles, and Clay Helton rights the ship at the end of the year and gets out of there with a W in a familiar stadium in Conway, South Carolina. Again, Larry took GSU, Wayne, Ohio, and TC GSU as well. Our second game, going to the NFL, 3 Saturday matchups. This is the first of those 3. Vikings 7-6 at Bengals 7-6. Lots of playoff implications in this game. Cincinnati's a 3.5-point favorite. The over-under in that one, guys, is 38 and a hook. Saturday, 1 p.m. on the NFL Network. These 2 offenses, folks, are going in completely different directions. The Bengals have scored 34 points in 2 consecutive games, while the Vikings just benched Josh Dobbs in favor of Nick Mullins from Southern Miss and won the lowest scoring game played in indoor football history, or dome history, whichever you want to say it. It was absolutely boring to watch a 3-0 victory over the Vikings last week. Again, the lowest scoring game in dome history in the NFL. Kind of fascinating to say it again. Cincinnati quarterback Jake Browning has started 3 games in a row. In those games, 629 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, just a 1 interception, putting up a 79.3 completion percentage. So he's playing lights out. And I got to go with that momentum. And I got to go with the Bengal Tigers at home at Paycor Stadium, right there across the river from Covington, Kentucky. Todd, I got the Bengals covering this one. What say you?
Sweet Lord, I hope you do. Yes, I like Cincinnati big over Minnesota, who scored not 1, not 2, but 3 points in a 3-0 win over the Ravens with Nick Mullins at quarterback. They are getting their star wide receiver back. But, no, Cincinnati with Jake Browning, who's been playing really well, give me the Bengals. The NFL is a backup quarterback league.
Yeah, right now it is. It seems like it. They're just about half the league, or right at it, has played at least 1 week with the backup quarterback. Pretty nuts. And then you had the Vikings, who are on their 4th quarterback this season. So it's just been a crazy year injury-wise in the National Football League. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I'm on the bandwagon. I'm going to go ahead and take Bengals to cover.
Bengals to cover. Larry's doing the same thing. I think we're all on the hey, what we saw with the Vikings last week isn't going to win you a lot of football games. Let's go to the 3rd game of the weekend. Saturday, 4:30 p.m. on NFL Network puts the Steelers 7-6, traveling to Indianapolis to take on the 7-6 Colts. Indianapolis is a 3-point favorite. Over under in this one's 42.5. TC, what say you, buddy?
Oh, my gosh. You know, Pittsburgh is the first team in NFL history to above 500 to turn around and lose to two-win teams 2 consecutive weeks in a row. And now they have to go and play the Indianapolis Colts, who, you know, they're not very good neither. Oh, man. The battle of backup quarterbacks. Mitch Trubisky is playing because Kenny Pickett's injured. And then Gardner Minshew is playing. Golly, I think this is the toughest game to pick of all of them this week. The line is, 3.5? The Colts are getting 3. You know what? Golly, the Steelers are desperate. The Colts are desperate. The Steelers have changed offensive coordinators. They still can't run the ball worth a diddly poo. Every time this franchise is backed in a corner, that is Pittsburgh, in the last 50-plus years, they've won. But as Ben Roethlisberger said today, this is not the Steelers. He's correct. I'll take Indy.
Indianapolis. Oh, you threw me off there. I thought you were going to take the Steelers there. Colts cover.
I did it on purpose.
Colts cover.
It on purpose.
Wayne, what you got?
Well, I'm taking Steelers in the points because when you can't trust the players, you got to trust the coach, and I think it's going to come down to a Steelers being able to outcoach the Colts. So I'm taking Steelers with the points.
I like your thought process there. I think Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the league. He's one of the longer tenure coaches in the NFL. This is a battle of one of the best offenses versus one of the best defenses. The Colts score over 24 a game. That's 8th in the league. Steelers just right at 19 points a game they're giving up. That's a top 7 defense. This is a coin flip of a game. I'm going to say defense travels. TJ Watt's questionable, but if he plays, I think he makes a big strip sack on Minshew, maybe causing a defensive score. Something along those lines. I like the Steelers in the points as well, Wayne. And Larry is going to Colts to cover as well. Minshew's playing pretty good. Zach Moss in for the injured Jonathan Taylor. Michael Pittman's having a pretty good season on the outside, and Mo Alley Cox is a red zone threat at all times as a tight end position. So Larry is going Colts to cover. Let's go to our 4th game of the weekend, the final Saturday game, Saturday 8:15 on the NFL Network. You have the 7-6 Broncos traveling to Denver, take on the Lions at 9-4. Detroit's 5-point favorites, the largest spread of the weekend we have in the NFL. That is over under 46.5. Wayne, tee us off on this one, man. Lions or Broncos?
I'll take the Lions to cover at home. On this one, I feel more confident in them than I do the Broncos at this point.
I'm taking the Lions as well. They let me down last week. They let us all down last week. We all picked that one. But I'm taking the Lions. Goff and company are going to get going. They're going to take advantage of a weaker Denver D. This isn't at altitude. Again, I think that's a huge factor here. I think Gibbs and Montgomery get it going on the ground. Again, a weak run defense in Denver. Russell Wilson's having a pretty good year, but I think Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown get on the same page this week, and they have a pretty big day. I like the Lions to cover. Todd, you taking the Lions?
Well, this is a battle of starting quarterbacks. Knock on wood, nobody gets hurt. Yes, I'm taking the Lions. The Lions are going to come. They're definitely going to go back to the meat and potatoes and run that football against Denver, control the clock, keep their defense off the field, which has been torched of recent, and get the win at home. So that means the Lions will win. The Vikings will lose. Uh-oh. The Lions will be 3 up with 3 to play. Dare I say, first division title since 1993. As a Lions fan, you guys don't know anything about disappointment from last week. They've made the playoffs, let's see, 6 times under Barry in the 90s, 3 times under Stanford recently. and a couple of times under Billy Sims in the 80s. That's it. You people don't know disappointment, but the Lions will make us all smile on Sunday.
And Larry is also taking the Detroit Lions, our fifth game. Well, it's our dirty birds, Wayne. Tucking our tails after last week, coming in at 6-7. This could be the saving grace. They travel to Charlotte to take on the steaming hot 1-12 Charlotte Panthers. Atlanta's a 3-point road favorite. Over-under in that one is 35.5. Sunday, 1 p.m. on Fox. If Atlanta doesn't win this game, Arthur Smith should be on the hot seat. Desmond Ridder should take a seat and become a backup the rest of his career. So Atlanta should win this one big. Atlanta covers. Larry is taking the Falcons to cover. Wayne, why are you taking the Falcons?
I'm taking the Falcons because I'm hoping that they play angry based on that last game and go down there and just whoop up on the Panthers just to make themselves feel better. I expect a Jimmy Johnson at Miami type of whooping. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm just hoping they can put up 30 points for the first time this season. That would make this Falcon fan ecstatic. TC, what you got? Falcons cover, or are you taking the Panthers in the points?
Boy, I tell you, this Falcons franchise, has been what all season, guys? Fool's gold. I mean, fool's gold. But this week, they're only a 3-point favorite over a team that is what? 1-12. That tells me that the Panthers are 1-4. They've already played 8 road games. They're a minus 144 differential between points for and points against. Which quarterback shows up? Does Bryce Young show up that played at Alabama? Or does he show up the one that's playing in Carolina? You look at his stats, they're pretty darn similar to Desmond Ridder. The fact that we have to watch this game, well, I don't. I'll shut it off. You have to watch this game on local TV. You should not. You should go find something better to do on Sunday. Find another game or go do something. But I guess I'll get to it. Gosh darn it, the Falcons should win. It is 3. If it was 3.5, I would take Carolina. But since it's 3, I'll take Atlanta. I don't know why. Fool's gold keeps popping in my head. Carolina's due to win, but I'll go with the Falcons.
Final game of the evening, Giants 5-8, Saints 6-7, New Orleans 4.5-point home favorites, over under, and this one's 37.5. Sunday, 1 p.m. on Fox. Playoff implications, pretty much a playoff eliminator game right here for the Giants. Really don't have a lot of hope anyway, but Tommy DeVito's making things really interesting in New York. And like Todd said, it's really bringing a fun element to the Giants, and that's why we're picking this game. And obviously, the Saints are a division rival for the Atlanta Falcons, so as Falcon fans, we'd love to see them lose. But I can't pick against the Saints at home. I just can't. I think they're a little bit better personnel-wise. I think Tommy DeVito is bound to have a bad game. Saints defense pretty good. They get after the quarterback pretty well. I think DeVito has a turnover or two. I like the Saints to cover at home. They win by a touchdown. Wayne, what you got?
Well, this is actually the other game that comes on at the same time as that Falcon-Panthers game. So if you don't want to watch that one, this would be the other one to watch. And it ought to be a pretty good game. I'm taking Giants in the points simply because there's no way I can I have to be against the Saints right now because I need the Saints to start dropping and the Falcons to move up and hopefully, take over from Tampa Bay, who whomped them last week.
Larry's taking the Giants in the points. He's going with that Italian magic, the Italian stallion from Syracuse University. He's taking the Giants in the points. TC, you got the final pick. Are you taking the Italian stallion, or are you going with the Saints at home?
Is Derek Carr playing on Sunday? Because, gentlemen, that's a huge question. If he's not, I've seen the other two dudes play at quarterback. And drop off Winston, and of course the other one's a runner, big guy. But man, if the Saints, they should win this game against the Giants. The question is 4.5. Nah, give me Tommy DeVito, cutlets, dimes. Mom, I'm going to New Orleans. Do my laundry. Have my cutlets ready for me. I'll be back tomorrow. Or Mom, I'm going to Giants camp. I'll be home for dinner tonight. Have my story this is. I mean, he lives at home. He's won 3 in a row. The team loves him. They're not the Giants team that played earlier in the year. They played well against a hot Green Bay team on Monday Night Football. Their defense looked really good. And I tell you what, this is not the same Giants team. Tommy DeVito has done something, and he's put excitement into some Giant fans, because there's a lot of New Yorkers in New Orleans. They will come out and they will play this game, or will root for the Giants. All fans in there, and you guys are going to be surprised the Giants might even win this thing outright.
It's going to be a fun game to watch for sure. Tommy DeVito has captured the hearts of all football fans, especially his agent, who just looks the part perfectly. And his family there, his dad kissing his agent, and the Italian gesture. It's just all great. It's all great. And that's what the NFL is all about. Our final thoughts for the evening, I'll tee it off. Congratulations to all the GHSA football state champions: Prince Avenue Christian, Bowden, Pierce County, Perry, Thomas County Central, Cedar Grove, and Coffee High School. And to the 7A finalists who are playing right now, Walton and Milton. Hats off to a wonderful season, young men. TC, what's your final thought, buddy?
Comment. My final thought revolves around Patrick Mahomes. He is the face of the NFL, and his behavior on Sunday after the loss to the Buffalo Bills, and his behavior game ended. His behavior towards the officials, I mean, he absolutely unequivocally lost his mind. He decided to go ahead and take his and go home. And his handshake with Buffalo Josh Allen was absolutely disgraceful. And you know what? If he keeps acting like this, State Farm may take its ball and go home. He did. His apology was good. He said it wasn't good for the game. It wasn't good for kids to watch. He's darn right. Do not act like that again. That's an embarrassment. And you know what? The officials were right on the call. You were wrong. The Chiefs' feed was wrong. And you know what? Maybe the State Farm keep acting like this, they will take their ball and go home.
You keep asking like that, they might discount double check you at Mahomes. Wayne, your final thought for the evening, man. You're signing us off.
Well, I tell you, this is the last show of 2023. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and we'll look forward to episode 150 in the 2024. So we'll see y'all next year.
That's right, guys. Thanks for listening.
Hey,
if you like the content.
JJ, can I add something here about Murphy? You know, when he did he decided to opt out. We forgot to mention the college, but we did mention somewhat, but the college football playoff timing of the portal is really ridiculous, and it's atrocious, and it causes players to make these decisions that earlier. They need to change the timing of the portal. I mean, these people.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a topic for a different day. We're running out of time.
Right.
Folks,
right.
If you like the content, please like, subscribe. Well said, Todd. But yeah, please like, subscribe, follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Just search at ATL Prime Sports. For Todd in Woodstock, for Wayne in Memphis, Larry, who's coaching an overtime thriller, I'm JJ Jurjevich. Thanks for listening to ATL Prime Sports. Get you one. We'll see you in 24.